Call to order the January 8th, 2020 meeting of the Belmont Tourism Development Authority. Thank you so much for being here. The agenda, I would like to go ahead and move number 4 before the number 3, so we're just going to switch number 3 and number 4. I understand Ted may only have about 45 or 50 minutes to spend here, so to make sure we can get that approved or not, we're going to move that up on the agenda, and then we'll have the fire of the agency report after that. That's okay. No objections for the board. You have the minutes for the September, October, November, and December meetings before you. You should have reviewed those. I think we can accept a motion to approve those all at one time.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I think you were at all those meetings, weren't you?
I think all of one.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have the election of the chair and vice chair. Currently, I serve as chair. Ted is vice chair. We would accept, we don't have any nominations, but we'd accept nominations or self-nominations from the board at this time, if anybody is interested in serving in either of those capacities. No, don't everybody speak at once.
Jim, I just think with all the transitions that we're doing, you should stay as chairman. And you have dedicated more time into this than anybody else, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Be happy to serve unless somebody else feels like them.
I certainly concur. Jim's the ideal board chair.
I would be happy to. Anybody, vice chair? Would you be willing to continue to serve as vice chair?
I would be willing to.
Anybody else
if
interested
elected.
in doing that?
All right, I'll nominate Jim as chair and Ted Hall as vice chair. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you very much. You also have in your packet the proposed meeting calendar. As you all know, we've had trouble having a quorum at the meeting, so is there a better time for us to have a meeting than 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning? Any thoughts about that? I guess we're kind of preaching to the choir. If you're not here now, I guess you can't say. Ashley's issue is, I mean, she gets pulled away for inspections and things like that. She has to be at the hotel for.
Has to be.
Carrie's issue is right now leadership gasking, which doesn't last forever. So.
And
Jim, my issue,
You've had some occasional
my issue is occasionally that the second Wednesday becomes the meeting for my executive committee at 8:30 in the morning or 8:15 in the morning, because that's time with the second Tuesday. So it's not every one of these,
Right.
but about a third of them I run into that conflict. But that's not the reason to change the meeting time for me.
But if it were a little later,
If it were a little later, that would be
That
would be
may
good.
accommodate you.
A little later in the day or a little later in the
does
month.
that hurt you?
I mean,
no, it does.
I mean, it makes, yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Well, you know, mine is only periodic. I mean, it's just when the month falls that way, that's the way the executive committee at the chamber is set up to meet.
Well, Jim, I
But,
think no matter what time we set it for, I mean, there are going to be incidentals
Absolutely.
among the board that are going to cause absences. So, I mean,
Sure. and
while
kind of-
we're experiencing this now, and it is, you know, a lot due to someone in the leadership program, as I understand, that will fall off at some point. I don't know that this has been, I mean, it's been a problem here in, you know, the immediate past, but I don't know that it's been a
It has
long-term
not.
issue.
It has not. It has been a recent occurrence.
So I don't know, maybe, do you think it will resolve itself? I mean, because if, again, you know, we can change the times arbitrarily to whatever time we want to meet. But who's to say that it won't conflict,
It'll conflict with somebody.
you know, with somebody
Don't-
else? So-
Sure.
Don't change it because
It's
of
not
my
big to go
occasional
from 10 to
conflict.
10:30. Like would 10 to 10:30 help for you?
Normally it would, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Why don't, I mean, that might address at least one absence, and it's, doesn't matter to me, it's 30 minutes different, so.
is that, do you have any conflicts with that? Is that going to be
It's
problematic?
fine. I mean, I'm just, what I'm doing is just working from home in the morning and then going in after this, instead of doing back and forth. Yeah, my boss has been.
Okay.
So 10:30?
Okay. And I don't think we need to approve it. I think we need it pleasure of the chair, so we'll just change it to 10:30.
That should work for most of
No,
my,
no meeting in July, but the second Wednesday of each month at 10:30 a.m. And I will cancel a meeting if, I'm not gonna waste your time.
Yes.
If we don't have business, I will cancel a meeting. Cassidy reached out to me with these minutes and to start, 10 days ago, I think we started, so we'll continue to try to do that, and we'll determine that far out if we absolutely need to meet. I will cancel a meeting if we don't have any business to take care of.
Or if there's not a quorum.
Or if there's not gonna be a quorum. We won't know that until a little bit later, but if there's not gonna be a quorum, we likely will cancel a meeting as well. The wirely agency is making quarterly reports, and we don't need to take any action, we don't need a quorum, so we would likely meet at least quarterly. So,
Okay.
all right, great, thank you very much. You have on, next in your packet, the financial report, expenditures and revenue. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Cassidy, you
It has
wanna-
not changed since last month.
Okay. Still appears, Ann, that revenues are good, surprisingly good, so keep telling. So we'll accept that as information.
Since Ted's leaving, should we vote on the trolley thing too?
We did, we moved it. Yeah, we're
Okay.
getting ready to do that.
I didn't.
Um,
notice that. Sorry.
So next in your agenda packet is the formal request. I encourage you to go ahead and read through that. Pretty detailed request from the Belmont Trolley Board. They've made 2 presentations to this board, so I think everybody's had an opportunity to see that. The proposal is a total of $20,000 a year for 5 years, for a total of $100,000. It would begin after July 1, so in our next fiscal year. We would expect in the next fiscal year that the Home 2 would be open and fully functional, and that we would be recognizing some revenues from that. And it seems to me that that $20,000 would be covered fully by that increase, according to the estimates that I've heard. So, any questions about this request? The city of Belmont, I think, has put in, the city council approved a $300,000 request. So I think that indicates that the city council would like us to join in this venture.
And Gaston County Travel and Tourism will be approached as well.
Gaston County Travel and Tourism has had 2 proposals or 2 presentations as well. And I think the board is receptive to entertaining a proposal that would be somewhat greater than the $100,000 that they've asked us for. Not exactly sure where that will fall, but I get the sense from that board that they are generally in favor of it. So the rest of the money would be raised through private donations. Any questions about this proposal?
How does this $100,000, do you project how this will impact our ability to do anything else these 5 years?
So we feel like we will probably recognize an additional $50,000 a year when the Home 2 opens. Our budget is currently $100,000. So I would see that 20,000 of that 50,000 is used to do this, and then we have an additional $30,000 to do other things. Is obviously we don't have a crystal ball, but I think that's, and would you agree that that's a pretty reasonable scenario?
Jim, if I read this correctly, we're supporting the construction of the trolley barn,
That's correct.
not necessarily the upfit of the trolley.
Absolutely. The money would be earmarked for the trolley barn.
And just a follow-up, the $20,000 a year from the tourism board is separate and apart from the $60,000 a year from the city of Belmont.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's a total of $80,000 as opposed to that being a part of the 60.
Correct.
Got it.
The primary difference being that the money we contribute comes from the occupancy tax.
Well, good. I'm glad to see both.
So if there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve this request.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. It's a strong 15 minutes there, thank you.
More than 4 months of work.
We'll now yield the floor or the seat to the Wireless Agency, whichever you prefer, Malia.
Okay, well, we're just gonna start it off.
All right.
Sure.
Great.
All right, so to start off, we'll talk about the social media trivia contest. We've still been running those every single month. October's was great, $20 gift certificate to Old Stone. We talked about that at the last meeting that we were here for. November, a $25 gift certificate to Surprise Me. And that turned out with, reaching 4,000 individuals and a great engagement of 1,400. And that one was a little bit more on the local side, of course. December, 2 tickets, and thank you very much, Jim, to Holidays at the Garden. Does anybody know the answer to this? Mile of a million lights, but how many lights specifically in the Prairie Garden?
25. I didn't see it.
That's not a guess, we'll put that as E.
I actually don't remember.
Really? So the answer is 13,300, which is C. And Jim was great to provide us that fact, because a lot of the time we get different engagement when we have information that's not as easily found on the internet, so that was great. Reach was 4,300, and hopefully the girl who won got her ticket to local and had a great time. And then January, the question is set and scheduled to post probably while we're still in here, and it is about William Henry for a $50 gift card. And so the current location of William Henry used to be Ballard's Barber Shop. And so which year, 1997, 2000, 2003, or 2005, did it become William Henry?
Well, don't tell him. He'll cheat.
I know who you are.
Oh.
A. Okay, any other guesses? It's actually 2003, which is C. And that can be found on their website, so we'll see how that changes.
Boarded up.
Question.
Yeah.
These reaches and engagement, is that organic? Or
Yeah, people share it, so what we do is we encourage people to share for an extra entry, but that's it, there's no,
boosting or anything?
nope, none of that. And so the hope is that they'll share it, other people will come to the page, maybe not necessarily for the contest if they don't know the answer, but they'll come and they'll start following us, so.
And that reach is great for the number of followers that we
How
currently
many
have.
Correct, yeah.
followers do we have?
I think we're 20-some hundred, like it's over 2,000, but I think it's not quite 3,000 yet.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think
great,
somewhere in there.
that's great done for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no more.
And then so we have more prizes coming up, $25 gift card in February to Saki Express, then Happy Dog, and then Nellie's coming up as well. So if you know anybody who wants to donate, it also helps them since we tag them and, it helps promote the business as well.
And this is just Facebook, right?
And it's only
We don't-
Facebook.
we don't have
We'll
Instagram.
mention it, we have Instagram and
Okay.
Twitter, and we'll mention it, but you can't enter on those, you have to go to the Facebook page.
Okay.
And that just makes it easier for figuring out the winner, so it's
Yeah.
all in one place.
So do you ever do any contests on Instagram?
We haven't done any on Instagram or Twitter.
Okay.
And we've only been doing these for just over a year on Facebook as well. So
Okay.
it's fairly new to people, especially now that we're running them every month and not just periodically.
Yeah. I see more engagement on Instagram contests than Facebook contests, just in the experience with the library that I do.
Okay.
The Graham Library, we see more
Interesting.
impact there. I think part of it is you can just, you can share it on a story, which a lot of times people are just looking at stories anymore. Nobody's really looking at their feed as much.
Right.
And then using the hashtags are way more powerful on Instagram than Facebook.
Absolutely.
So,
The only, some of our businesses don't have Instagram pages, and that's also why we've kept it consistently on Facebook is because everybody has Facebook, but not necessarily the other two platforms.
Right.
It just depends on the business
yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
And some don't have, like Caravan hasn't updated theirs in years, so not everybody is actually doing social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on to the calendar, these are the beginning of the year events, Belmont Blooms with several events under that, Oyster Rose, Art and Orchids and Wedding Showcase over at Daniel Stowe. So we're helping to promote all of these. The rack card is awaiting final approval.
For rack cards in your stack, besides the agenda. And Richard, I'm sorry, we ran out of agendas. We did not print enough. And hallelujah for a quorum. I don't know if you want to scoot up and share with Ted or not.
Take a friend.
So in the packet, you will see the December rack card. And then on a piece of paper, just a regular piece of paper, is the art for January through March rack card. So January through March is mostly Danielstow Botanical Garden and also the Belmont Abbey. We did mention that Belmont Blooms is coming on the cover, but we're going to do a separate wrap card on Belmont Blooms for the next one. So anyway, so this is first quarter.
It still says holiday 2019 on the back.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we're waiting approval on this one, and hope to get that today so we can get it off to the printer. Thank you.
That was a great catch.
Okay.
Happens when you start the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly, because
That's what
I
happens
was
to me
like,
in my office.
I've looked at that 3 times and I didn't notice.
I used to always, whenever I write a lot, and I used to read my papers backwards so that I could check some spelling and punctuational issues, because I wouldn't get into the flow of reading it. And
Right.
then you would skip over, so I always read everything backwards.
Yeah, and usually where mistakes happen are in headlines.
Yep.
You know, because everybody's so busy reading the body copy
Yep.
that a headline. So thank you for catching that. Okay, back to you, Melinda.
Absolutely. So website updates. We have a lot of them. Per suggestion at a different meeting, we are changing that header image that you encounter at the very beginning. So it was a holiday image for the last couple months, and now we've just changed it to reflect Art and Orchids coming to Danielstow. So we'll have that up for a while before we start promoting Belmont Blooms on the website. But we have that picture up there, and then a little lower down under things to do, we have Art and Orchids also. Under the due page, and this is the only place where you can currently find it other than our promotion of it, there is a link to the landing page that will be used for Belmont Blooms. So we're still developing a lot of the pictures, and we need all the dates so we can make a more robust page, but currently the press release that we send out to media is on that page, and it's a tab that's underneath due. So we've updated the site with both of those. Our places to eat winter spotlight is Old Stone Steakhouse, but because Belmont Cocktail Club is new, we'll start promoting that in spring. Additions, Ballard Barbershop, The Bottle Tree, lots of bees, Belmont Cocktail Club, and we've removed Luna Ombre and unfortunately Peace and Harmony, with optimism that we can bring it back someday. Belmont Brides, consistently working on the hashtag and the Instagram page, and currently that's all we're using for that, other than cross promotions with our Visit Belmont items. So we're looking into a Pinterest page to see if that will start generating other people to populate content. And then Pinterest is pretty much a big forum for brides and weddings, so we think that could work really great. And we don't use it currently for any of our Visit Belmont items.
Just speak.
Good.
The next item is public relations, and we have gotten phenomenal PR coverage. This is our printout of what we've gotten since we last met.
We're gonna go through all of them.
So anyway, we always give a hard copy to Jim, but if you want to look, we highly recommend that you go to the website, to the newsroom tab up at the top. Can we control it?
Yes. Oh, it's on there? Oh, okay.
I kept being kicked out, so.
Oh, okay.
If you click on the newsroom tab, you will see all of our coverage, and it's a lot in the past few months. So between, so many Christmas things and national and international coverage with that. But, when you have some time, just go on here and just look at the headlines and what coverage we got. And we're in House Beautiful and some really big national publications. So go on there, check it out, and you can do that anytime when you want to see what's the word that's out there.
And if you're unfamiliar with with the newsroom. So what we do is we put up a couple sentences and link to the original article, so you can always see it on the site where it existed. So. All right, thank you. You might have seen the popcorn headline. So we worked on one of the Harrow Help a Reporter Out inquiries and got a great review for Taste Buds popcorn. We've also
Harrow, I don't know if you know what Harrow is, but it's something we subscribe to, and it's Help a Reporter Out. So reporters will put out what stories they're working on and what kind of interviews they need. And so we check that, we're constantly checking that to see if there's a fit. And so we saw this as a good fit for Taste Buds.
Harrow sends out 3 emails a day, and some of them have repetitive items, but they're really great for trying to find leads of things people are already working on, and they need somebody to give them some knowledge. And so it can be hit or miss. You know, they probably get hundreds of responses, so you got to stand out. But it was great to see Taste Buds make it through for that gift guide. All right, so we also have some sponsored content pieces. We've been working with Charlotte Agenda, Charlotte 5, and Charlotte Stories for sponsored content. So we either help them write it, or write it ourselves, or they assign a writer who work with that writer and put out sponsored content. And we did that for Halloween, so Boo Fest and all those items, and the holidays. So we got coverage from all 3 for each of those. And then we had additional coverage from some of them as well, which you can find on the newsroom page. And like we mentioned, it was really robust holiday coverage. We did work with a wire service and put our press release out that way. It reached somewhere between 100 and 150 publications just via the wire service. I remember even emailing the press release to someone who said, we already have this from the wire. And so that was pretty cool to see that.
What's it cost to send a wire these days?
It's $1,000.
How does that work? I'm just curious. Explain the wire to me.
Which side do you want, the money side or the non-money side? That's
The non-money side, like
Okay.
the process. I know.
Yeah. So we work with, we happen to use Access Wire, it formerly is Bulldog Reporter, and we work with them on putting out a press release that we have already created. So we created and every year we create a Christmas press release. It covers not just Belmont, but we pull in McAdenville for anything that, it's a nationally renowned place, so we pull in that. We talk about what's going on, and we work with them they identify the publications based on our interests. We worked with Access Wire before, and unfortunately made it to a lot of financial pages. Mm-hmm. So this year we made sure to specify that we wanted tourism-related items, and they identify who that they work with in partnership. So Access Wire ensures that they have up-to-date, current information for sending out the wire, and that's on them. So rather than us, and we still do this, but we don't do it as robustly, rather than us trying to pull out every name we possibly can from big publications, little ones. This made it to places like Portland News, where we probably normally would not send them stuff about Belmont. But they send it to small and big publications, and it's either on their wire page or they pick it up and put it as news content on the rest of their site.
But like Yahoo picked it up.
Absolutely.
So once it hits the wire, how do they get it in the publications? Do they already have their deals worked out with these places? Pretty much?
It's not a deal, it's earned.
It's earned.
Right.
Earned coverage, yeah.
Yeah. If they see it and they like it, they put it in the paper.
Right.
Or on the radio. or
And obviously, if it didn't make it, then there's an issue. Either with us or the group or the wire.
Possibly, but
it's
for
getting
the,
through.
for the most part, a lot of these places also have dedicated wire pages where items that they get through something like Access Wire goes directly to there. But it depends entirely on the publication itself.
It's really interesting. Okay.
For somebody like Portland, for instance, to pick it up is a big deal because we probably aren't going to necessarily get folks coming here for the holiday unless they already plan to do so. But it is great to see it in a lot of places. It gets Belmont's name into different places that we don't normally talk to. We might pitch Yahoo on our own, but the wire service picks it up and they don't need our pitch as much. So it just depends on the publication that it happens to make it to.
Thank you.
But then you do the same thing locally.
Correct. So we have
Regionally.
we have a list of our own with a lot of publications, still big names on it. We like Better Homes and Gardens and stuff, even if it's not going to make it right away. We like to keep people informed, so we do that on our own with our own footwork and our own media list in addition to the wire service. And we have found that the years that we've used the wire, it's reached a lot farther and a lot smaller publications than we normally would target.
And like last year, we got Better Homes and Gardens, they covered, you know, Belmont and McAdenville. And, you know, so this year, we would not expect them to cover us again, you know, because they're gonna do something different. But maybe in another few years, they might do it again. So we're gonna continue to send it to them, so they've still got that ding, ding, ding.
Got it, okay.
But they were saying, Yahoo picked it up, and that's 14 million. That was the biggest that picked it up from the wire service. And they have just more than 14 million of readership, which is great. And then coverage was on all aspects of Belmont area holidays. So it wasn't just necessarily Daniel Stowe and McAdenville, but Charlotte Parent, for instance, wrote about several of our items. You know, they talked about the Festival of Trees, they talked about, even at Halloween time, different festivals happening here, so it was great to see coverage for other items other than the big ticket pieces here. And then it was included within many holiday lights lists, you know, 10 best places to see holiday lights. It might have been McAdenville. Some lists have Daniel Stowe Botanical Garden and McAdenville, especially across North Carolina. So both places were located in those.
And the big one where McAdenville was number 2.
Those USA Today's 10 best.
Yeah.
And a lot of articles spurned from that also, and people talking about the contest. And then Gaston Outside has been great, including us in a lot of their bundle features, talking about different aspects of Belmont, and we're trying to help promote those items that come up as well. And then again, Newsroom has a lot of that coverage in there. We do not have every single one that has the wire because it's the exact same information on every single one, but some of them are included. Moving on to social media. Our activity across the last couple months has been pretty consistent. Page likes have gone up slowly. I'm looking at it yesterday, we're above 2,400 now. And then the reach also, December's reach was great, over 17,000. Twitter activity, the engagement has been a little on the low side, but impressions have been wonderful. Big numbers for impressions, especially in October. And I think in October we might have mentioned the Jonas Brothers, so that gave a little kick in the butt. Instagram also, our Instagram numbers, as we mentioned before, are based on how many posts we actually make. So we have 22 posts in the last 3 months on the Belmont tourism and 14 on Belmont Brides. And Belmont Brides, again, is still growing. So if you have any friends who are going to be a bride, tell them to join us. So, but it's great to have that content there for anybody who's planning a wedding.
Great. All right. Next is keyword search, and in your packet, you will see this paper that we spend money for search engine marketing. And so the top row is October, and the left side is sorted by number of impressions, and the right side is sorted by clicks. So this is what people are most interested in. So in October, a lot of interest in Belmont Abbey, which is unusual, but they've been at the top of our click list. And Hampton was number 2, food, Belmont. So here
It's
at
their
the
Hall of
bottom.
Fame weekend.
Huh?
Hall of Fame and
Oh, okay.
weekend.
Thank you for that
And
clarification.
alumni weekend too.
Okay, all right. And so at the bottom, this little bump out here kind of totals. So Daniel Stowe got a total of 132 clicks. Hampton got 84. Weddings got 58. And Nellie's got 19. So because they kind of show up different things, different ways. In November, Billy Graham Library showed up number 1 in clicks. And then things to do in Belmont and Belmont Abbey and the Hampton. So, so these are a little different than what we normally see.
So if you type in things to do in Belmont, like in Google, where's that take you? Like if somebody wanted to know where all the...
So it should put an ad up on the right-hand side or
Or either at the top or on the right-hand side. So if you type in, you know, things to do, then we're in this.
This website, it
no,
links to this
if
one?
you go to Google,
Right, but it links to that is where.
and then you
Is that
click.
what- okay,
Yeah,
so it's
we
linking
measure
there.
on this website.
Like,
So-
is this digital anywhere? Like this thing?
All of the items are on the do tab
Okay.
So you can go to the Do tab, and if there's a Facebook page, or like in the case of the city, we usually go to the city's website, and you can find out information that way.
And it's better to do that. If you put something on there as a PDF, it's not searchable. And
Yeah, I just meant the content, yeah.
Yeah, the content is on the website if there's a link. Yeah.
They need to have a Facebook event in order to be listed. We used to have a separate calendar of events where we typed out everything. And then those times would change, those things would change, and instead, we're just making sure that we keep the Facebook events page populated and it links from our site here.
Okay. And then on the second page is December and the results. So December, we had a tremendously high search volume, and while we try to regulate the money so that it's spread out evenly, there were some things like things to do. You can see at the bottom of the list there are zeros because we had to cut back. A few months ago, if you remember, we cut our budget back, our search engine marketing budget back, so that we could do some other things. And so, anyway, December was really high search month and low money volume. Okay. So those are the key words. Anybody have any questions about that?
so a good strategy may be to increase our SEO.
Yeah, in December, I think that would be a good strategy for next year, is to bump that up. And hopefully, we're gonna have an issue around Belmont Blooms too, but we'll see.
Just one thought here is, it says breweries Belmont is one of the highest searched things. And, that's kind of like, we don't have any currently really, and so
Right.
when Jekyll and Hyde opens up, I mean, they have quite the following in Matthews and stuff, so maybe we could work on getting some information out about them, because I think that could be a destination for a lot of
And
folks.
we had to put on the back burner Belmont as a food and brewery destination because everybody was closing.
Yeah.
So, and if you recall, we had said that a couple months ago, that once Jekyll and Hyde opens, we will push that back
Yeah.
to the front. But right now, we don't have anything for that to be.
Do we know their schedule? Or I know
They
March.
posted last week and they said soon.
They were tentatively supposed to be open the end of the
Last
summer,
summer.
right? Okay. So we'll just be patient.
Yeah. And then the bottle tree and stuff, you might be able to do something with.
I did a walkthrough Monday, and he's getting close. He's hired all of his staff, he's hired all of his manager staff. They're getting ready to start hiring, wait staff, cook staff. So probably, I would say within another month or two, it'll be open.
Okay. So by March.
Don't give a date.
How about optimistically by Belmont Blues,
Just say opening 2020.
2020, yes.
Before Christmas.
Yes.
Not
Yeah,
sure
they'll
what year.
definitely be open by St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Am I ahead or behind on a new tenant for Rivermen? You can't say anything? Can I?
Hopefully a lease was signed January 1, and we were working with, we've met with, it'll be another restaurant brewery, but the good thing is the whole downstairs will be the distribution center for that brewery.
Is it an established brewery or?
I had a meeting at TechWorks yesterday, and I heard the name, and I'll keep it to myself, but you guys would prefer I keep it to myself.
Well, I can't, I don't, you know, we were asked not to say, so we're.
Okay.
But it is an established brewery in another town, not big names like we were hoping, but.
What town are they established in?
See me after the meeting.
Okay. Because
We're currently being recorded, so I don't.
okay.
Yeah,
So, but it is an established brewery. But the big thing is they're moving their whole distribution center here, so the whole, I think, bottom
great.
floor of that building was not used by Rivermen, but now they will be able to be their distribution center. So the restaurant, brewery, live music, and distribution.
Yay. Yay.
So it'll be good.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Great news.
Thank you. Okay, next is advertising, and as you know, we've signed 4 times for print in our state magazine. And so in your, here's what we ran in the November and December issues of Our State. And then on the next page is what will be run for Belmont Blooms, and this will be February and March, okay? With the famous clock.
And are these are like print, right? In the
Yes.
Okay. Is this the size that they are? Like that?
Yes, they're in the destination section.
Okay, yeah.
And so, and then we're also doing 3 e-newsletters with our state. We'll have an exclusive email blast that will talk about all of Belmont Blooms, and that will come out the first or second week of March. And then we'll also have 2 travel and events emails. One will be the 3rd week of March, so right before the parade. And then the other one will be the 1st week of April that will finish up everything else. So we'll do it in, the first half and the second half with them. And then also coming up in the next few months, Charlotte 5, Charlotte Stories, Charlotte Agenda. We will be promoting Belmont Blooms and also Garibaldi Fest on all 3 of those. As you know, Carrie agreed that FAR would run billboards for us, and at no charge, which is lovely. So part of our agreement with that is that Nightmare on Main Street, that the city would do the artwork for that billboard, since they had done that in the past. Carrie wanted to do the Christmas billboard, and then Lyerly has Belmont Blooms Friday Night Live, and then just a generic one. So if they have extra space that they want to pop another ad in there, a generic one. So we have designed billboards, and I wanted to show you those today. And we have used stock photography, so you'll see the watermark in there, so it's kind of distracting a little bit. But this will be our generic. I'd like to get your approval on these. This is our generic one that was, they can run anytime.
Are these digital or static?
Digital.
Digital.
It's just the board up on top of our yards.
Okay.
How long is that gonna last with the purchase from Mannington and Coates?
They're keeping the billboard.
They are keeping
Yes,
that.
I checked on that. They're
Awesome.
keeping the billboard because I was like, ah.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
What is there a reason why the website wasn't included on there?
Well, we originally had it on there, and then
Then I suggested it was small, and you probably would not have seen it.
Yeah.
So
There's no way to make it bigger and put it on there. I just feel like I mean, I don't know. When looking at that, I'm just kind of like, what's the call to action? What am I to do? Okay, Belmont's with Southern Twin Blossoms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how can I learn more?
I have a comment. This is a city event, and we have a city logo for Friday Night Live.
You have what?
A city logo for Friday Night Live that needs to be included on this.
Okay.
So this one actually needs to come to me for approval since it's a city event.
This one, what?
This billboard needs to come to me for approval since it's a city event.
Okay.
So, because there's specific branding around that event that needs to be included in that.
Okay. All right.
I would suggest that if you want to do that, you probably just need to work directly with Carrie,
And that's fine.
and we won't do any city events on the billboards. And
That's fine, because we typically send them to her anyway. So that's what we've been doing in the past, is all the City Garibaldi Festival, Boo Fest, all of that gets sent to Carrie
Okay.
on our own. So I don't want us to duplicate it, but we definitely need to be using the Friday Night Live logo
Okay.
on there if we're going to be promoting the Friday Night Live through
Okay.
there.
All right.
Lee, I would suggest you just take that off your list.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So we'll do this one. Do you want?
And you can do that. You can add the logo. My fear is that it's just gonna, with that much content on there, you're not gonna be able to read it. But you can add it. It's fine.
I mean, you don't have to. I'm just thinking about you could make the headline a little smaller to make some room. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, and this is not on, because where is FAR?
When driving,
So it is you're gonna pass it on the interstate.
Mhm.
Okay, so you have 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But so they say 3 elements usually.
Yep.
So a logo, a headline, and a website is usually, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking like,
Do you want me to send the other version out,
Sure.
the one before this, and
Sure.
This
make a
looks like a good idea.
decision?
Sure.
Okay, because we've got it, we'll send it
Okay.
right out. Okay. Except I need
Is that the
to-
logo for Belmont Blooms?
No, this is our tourism. Oh,
Just
which
that.
one are you talking about?
Sorry, the top billboard.
Yes. Okay, so, and maybe the city wants to do this too.
No,
No, because that's a joint event,
That-
so.
yeah, no.
Yeah, Friday Night Live is specifically something that we've created a logo that,
Okay,
you know, we've been using for the last couple of years that we want to continue making sure that we're using, so it's consistently branded.
okay, very good. All right, so this is for Belmont Blooms. This has a very it's a watermark, it's kind of distracting. But, so this is a colorful celebration of culture, which is the tagline for the event, and then the dates and the Belmont Blooms logo.
and again, I think there was a logo on there, and we bought the
A
URL for BelmontBlooms.com, I think.
I think that's okay because it's got a date on it. And so
Yeah,
if I'm
I
interested,
agree.
I'm going to go to Google and say, Google Belmont Blooms. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be like, there's a date. What is this?
There's an event,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I'm
where
gonna
Southern
look it
Charm
up.
Blossoms is the event.
Right, it's just more of a awareness.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this one approved.
So what is the culture we're celebrating? It's a colorful celebration of culture. Is the culture flowers?
And well, that word kind of came more from me, because instead of just Belmont Blooms, for us, the city, it was more about celebrating flowers, but the growth of the city and the growth of the entire community.
As in-
culture we have.
As in art and culture,
Art.
as opposed to a culture.
Yeah,
Okay.
because there is art involved in some of the events.
Okay, well, I mean,
A
that
lot
makes
of
more
it.
sense now, 'cause I was thinking culture, the culture of Belmont is really more manifested in
It's a
rail
festival
and
culture.
textiles and that
But
kind
it's
of
also
industry.
celebrating that as well.
Right.
So, because that's part of Garibaldi Festival.
It is.
So it's all of the above.
Yeah, we want it to be more encompassing and instead of just flowers, more the growth of the city, the whole culture of the city.
Yeah, no, that's good, I like
Yeah.
that, because then
It's a good word.
flower-centric, you know, I was wanting to expand that out as you have a little bit more.
Yeah,
And that's
So
the
the
whole,
name
the
of
whole
Bel-
celebrations will be about all the events, Garibaldi, Friday Night Live, the gardens, and the flowers, so it'll be about everything.
There's
Okay.
a Belmont Historical Society event in there, I think
Yeah.
their flower, don't they do, is it the
A
flower
flower sale,
sale?
yes.
Is
Yeah.
in there, and, you know, so it's a lot of different types of events that are encompassed in that entire month of events.
yeah, so it's a good balance with Belmont Blooms, and then you bring in, the tagline helps bring in the more all-encompassing
Okay.
aspects of it. Okay, all right, so this one's approved?
Yes.
Okay, this one will show you with and without tagline.
And
I
that was
mean,
almost approved.
website. What?
And that was almost approved.
Yeah, it's almost approved. Okay, so I'll send this to the whole committee,
Sure.
okay? And then Friday Night Live is.
Yeah, we'll do the city, we'll do
Yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Jim, if you'll excuse me, this is probably a good time for me.
Thanks, Ted.
You want to stay for the numbers?
I'm a word guy.
So,
Paper, right?
Ryan's got the numbers.
and then.
I forgot you're old press guy, right?
Back of the agenda is our search engine marketing numbers. How many impressions, how many visitors, and then our click-through rate. So, click-through rate's pretty strong. And then weddings, our Facebook numbers and our Google numbers. And the averages have dropped from 2018 because the budget was cut. So, if you're looking at that 2018 average versus what we're doing now, is because of the budget. Okay. Any questions about this? Any questions for us, what we're doing?
I don't have any.
You know, I would suggest that probably need some tracking of Google Analytics on an ongoing basis and so I can get those numbers because the changes that we made to the budget moved it from search engine marketing to something that's more likely going to be more organic. So if the visits to our website are going up, it's a positive change. If they aren't going up, then we need to reconsider that change. So,
Okay,
so,
perfect, we'll do that, have that report next.
so
next
I would just add it
Yeah.
to this. So.
Okay.
I will add, the other thing, I had a meeting with Michael Applegate before I came here, and he's doing a full-page ad for Belmont Blooms in AAA Go Carolinas, which is, it's like 300,000 circulation or something like that.
Yeah.
Full-page ad, and so they're working on that art now, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's great.
And we will have a full Belmont Blooms report for you at the next meeting of this board. So.
Great, we may show up for that.
Good.
All right, may I have your email address?
Yes.
And I'll send that billboard right out.
Any other questions for the water of the agency?
I don't have any.
Thank you, Malia. Thank you, Melinda. Any other business to come before the board? We will stand adjourned.